Hi, Sifu Hodgkinson here. I just want to talk a little bit about biomechanics now. When you're training in the beginning, you're training something called elemental movement, which are the basics. So explained in another tutorial, I was saying how the elemental movements are 8 stances, 8 arm strikes, 8 kicks, and 8 blocks or parries. Okay, so when you're learning those, you are learning them in something that's called the study of biomechanics. And this is how do these limbs that you have, because everybody pretty much has a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs, so and a torso. So we pretty much are all built the same way. I haven't really trained anybody in the last little while, or maybe never, that has had 4 arms, or you get what I'm saying, right? So since we have common body structures, there are geometrics involved in relation to how the elemental movements are brought into form. And so as an example, with a horizontal strike, well, a proper form of that wouldn't be like a sucker punch. If you were trying to cover the distance quickly, it would be a straight line. And then of course, you want to be able to hit with the first 2 knuckles, because those are the strongest on the actual fist, rather than hitting with these ones over here, which aren't as strong. You want to have a fairly firm fist so you don't let it collapse or get sort of hurt. You want to have your wrist not bent but straight with the forearm, and slight bend at the elbow so there's no overextension. And also, to a degree, at least in the beginning, so you're learning about keeping your body under control and having awareness with it. You don't want to bring your shoulders into it, simply so that you have the awareness of knowing how to execute something and control your body. Later on, you can do all kinds of different shifty and unique things that will give you extra distance and extra power. But in the beginning, this is what we start with, and the study of biomechanics can include the study of multiple phases. So if you're learning a technique as an example, which are multiple elemental movements put together, then you would want to break that down into smaller phases and take it one chunk at a time. In NLP, we call it chunking. So you want to chunk it down so you can study the individual parts to it, and then chunk it back up, or bring it together to smooth it out and to make sure it works without any jaggedness effectively, yet you have great awareness and great control over the execution from the beginning, all the way through it to the end. This is called good biomechanics, good awareness with your form, with your execution, with your completion, with your rotational torque, if there is any in the particular elemental movement that you're doing, with a linear line or with a circular line, depending again on the execution of that particular elemental movement or technique. Okay, so keep in mind that when you're training, the biomechanics of whatever it is that you're doing are very, very important, because often this is your accuracy. And this is the path of least resistance, where you're not struggling to do something, it's happening, and it's happening extremely skillful, because in the very beginning, you studied how to do it properly, and therefore, without thinking, you can do it instantly, and it's there. And that's exactly what you're aiming for, is to be able to deliver it anytime, any place, as perfectly as possible, and that only comes through the proper training. Okay, so keep training hard, and again, keep training smart.